Mics and cameras are live. What's up, everybody? We'll be with you here at 6 minutes after. First guest, Dr. John Lott, followed by AWR Hawkins, followed by a full hour with Cam Edwards, and a classic Armed American Radio roundtable. Mic's up, camera's off.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends, because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Car Firearms Group studio
At the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association.
National Rifle Association.
Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's post-Thanksgiving 2025 Monster Cast begins right now. Car Firearm Studios are lit up for you. It's all being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. The CZ mic is fired up. The on-air lights are blinking like crazy if you're driving by. Wave and say hi. Greg in Dallas, Texas, how you doing here? We're at the Patriot Mobile Command Center, just ready to rock and roll. Do we remember how to do this?
I don't know. I'm trying to remember how to do a little radio tonight.
You know, guys, I tell Greg after every weekend show on Fridays, and again, when we have a break like we did over the last few days, I say to Greg, I'll see you soon. And he interrupts me every time and says, I'll see you too soon. I said, just think, in a blink of an eye, it'll be Sunday. And here it is.
Here we are.
Here it is.
Yep.
So welcome in, guys. We have a lot to talk about. We're live on all of our platforms, including Facebook.com/Armed American Radio, Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. And Greg, I'll let you tell everybody where they can go and watch the rest on all different multiple platforms. Participate in that chat. We hope you get active in it. Like, repost, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Follow us at Twitter at AAR Mark. Greg, go for it, and then we'll get started with Dr. Lott.
Sure. Other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. You can head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com. Hit that menu icon. Then select your watch live or listen live option. And you can see us over on X if you just search for @AAR Mark. And lastly, to join our live chat and see all the spicy memes over there by Angeline, just head on over to Telegram. Create your profile and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
That'll do it. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you all had a wonderful and safe family Thanksgiving weekend. Enjoyed it, ate too much, drank too much, did all that fun stuff. That's what the holiday's for. And now we kick off, well, I guess we say we're starting to kick off the Christmas season at this point here on Armed American Radio's Monster Cast today. Let's do that with Dr. John Lott, crimeresearch.org. John, welcome in, my friend. Happy Thanksgiving, brother. Good to have you today.
Oh, happy Thanksgiving weekend to you, too.
John, I have two or three things. You and I talked briefly by text. You know where we're going here on the program today, and time always gets away from us. So I want to jump right into this 7-Eleven story in Oklahoma. I'll set this up briefly, but you wrote the piece over at Real Clear Politics. And guys, pay careful attention. This is stuff that we've talked about before, but every time it happens, it is mind-boggling. Yet last week, 7-Eleven fired the 25-year-old young woman, 25 years old, after she used a gun to save her own life. Private companies, as John writes, and I'm quoting from him, have every right to set rules for employee behavior, but many corporate policies that require workers to remain passive and comply with criminals' demands rest on a deeply mistaken view of crime data. And John, she says, as you wrote, he threatened me and said he was going to slice my head off. And that's when I tried to call the police. He started throwing things at me, came behind the counter. I tried to run off, but he grabbed his hands around my neck, pushed me out of the counter space. That's when I pulled out my gun and I shot him. John, take it away.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty clear from her statements and other statements there that, she had a choice, either keep her job or her life. Fortunately, she's still alive, and she's able to go back home to her 3 kids, young children that she has. I mean, as you mentioned, she's only 25 years of age. The thing is, a lot of people have come to believe that passive behavior is the safest course of action for people to take when they're confronted by a criminal, and that's kind of ingrained in a lot of these corporate rules. The problem is it's really, misleading misuse of data. If you compare all active forms of resistance lumped together compared to passive behavior is indeed slightly safer. The problem is that you're lumping, under the heading of active resistance, you're lumping together all sorts of different things, many of which are much more dangerous than passive behavior. And one, having a gun, is by far the safest course of action. So, for example, for a woman to use her fists is the most dangerous course of action for her to take. She's almost always going to be confronted by a male attacker. And with the large strength difference there, if a woman uses her fists, it's very likely to result in a physical response back from the attacker and seriously wounding her. The second most dangerous course of action for a woman to take is to try to run away. Now, obviously, if she can successfully run away and escape, that's great. But the problem is that women tend to be significantly slower runners than men are. And in the process of being tackled and subdued, there can be serious injuries that can result. What you find is that having a gun, which is being mixed in with all these other dangerous responses, is a much safer response. Women who behave passively are about 2.5 times more likely to end up being seriously injured than a woman who has a gun. Basically, all these other things like having a knife or a baseball bat, the problem is that the woman has to get into physical contact with the attacker, and doing that raises real risks. You know, if you take a concealed carry class, you're told you're not the police. Your job isn't to go and arrest somebody. The benefit that you have from having a permanent concealed handgun is to try to keep the criminal away from you. But, a police officer, when they see a crime occurring, they can't just brandish their gun, watch the criminal run away, and think that's the end of their job. They have to be willing to chase after the criminal and to get into physical confrontation. That makes a police officer's job much more risky. That's when police officers get hurt, often in those situations. A civilian, particularly for a woman, it makes no sense for them to go and do that. They should just use their gun to try to keep the criminal at bay, keep them from actually getting into contact there. So, the piece goes through a lot of different numbers about the benefits for women carrying concealed handguns versus men. I mean, it's much larger. You're almost always talking about a male criminal. When a man is attacking a woman, there's a lot larger strength difference that exists there on average than when a man is attacking another man. And the presence of a gun represents a much bigger relative change in a woman's ability to go and resist an attack than it does for a man. In fact, each additional woman with a concealed carry permit lowers the murder rate for women by about 3 to 4 times more than additional permit holder for a man lowers the male murder rate. So anyway, all I can say is, obviously she's lost her job there, and I think that's unfortunate. But fortunately, Stephanie's children still have a mother there.
Yeah, and there are a couple interesting points in here too, John, that you point out, and I'll quote, ladies and gentlemen, again, pay careful attention to this. Many of you work in a profession where, well, do you carry your gun? Is it your gun or your life? You have to make a decision. Which one is more important? Okay, some of you are forced to make that call. For more than 2 years, Dilliard worked the dangerous 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift alone. Despite those conditions, listen to this. 7-Eleven insisted she use only store items to defend herself. Now, John, we all know what that means. That means throw the chips, throw the drink, throw something at this guy, or maybe try to beat him over the head with a soda can or bottle, whatever the case may be, while he is attempting, and as you point out, rightfully so, that's just going to anger him and force him to react more violently. And again, I think the statement, and you just closed with it, we'll do it here too. Fortunately, Stephanie's children still have their mother. And she made it very, very clear. I had to choose between my job and my life, and I will always choose my life because people depend on me. My kids need me here. John, I'll let you take us to the music. When will 7-Eleven and others figure this out?
I don't know. I mean, I suppose if enough people make a big enough deal about this on social media, if people stop attending the stores there, if they have to pay higher wages for employees that work there because there are other places that allow people to be able to carry, all those things may eventually make a difference there. But, unfortunately, the media keeps on repeating this false claim that people should behave passively, that's the safest course of action for them to take. And, it has real consequences there.
And you point out, I'll take us to the break with this, John. And ladies and gentlemen, John does point out in his piece, you can read this at Real Clear Politics. In Stephanie Dilliard's case, however, passive behavior likely would have gotten her killed. And while there is a kernel of truth behind the advice to remain passive when confronted by a criminal, the claim is highly misleading. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine this. You're in her shoes. You use a gun to defend yourself because he's going to slice your head off, which is what he said, and he's physically attacking you. You live.
But he's
You're
choking
outside.
her.
He's choking her. And this is what you hear from your boss. Thank God you're alive. You're fired. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast continues right after this. Another segment with John. All right, guys, we're back at you here in about 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 seconds. Maybe a few more. The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show. You know, you can do that. It's real easy to do, ladies and gentlemen. Just simply visit nra.org/AAR. Take advantage of the great pricing that we have over there for you. It is nra.org/AAR. We're going to save you $10 on the 1 year. Going to save you $15 on the 3 year, $25 on the 5 year, and $500 on the life membership. Take advantage of that while it is available. Listen to all of these conversations today on Armed American Radio's Monstercast here in the Car Firearms Group studios. And guess what? You're going to understand pretty quick why you've got to be a member of not only the National Rifle Association, but your local groups and the Second Amendment Foundation as well. All of them. If you can join them all, I know it's tough out there, folks, but if you can join them all, we need you in this fight, please. This fight is just beginning. It always is, because as Ryan will tell us later in the show, the left will never stop. Dr. John Lott, crimeresearch.org. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, you can visit crimeresearch.org and you can join up over there, get on the mail list, so you get all of John's op-eds and all the cool stuff he puts out, all of his research, pretty much before everybody else. When you're on that mail list, I would highly recommend you do that. And if you can throw 5, 10, 50, 500, 5,000, by all means, do it and support John's research. It's how we counter the lamestream, lying, mainstream media. John, welcome back, my friend.
Well, thanks. We can use the support. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, we can. Let's move over to the Federalist piece, because in kind of the same vein, the media gives us this nonsense garbage. And this was a piece that you put up on November 12th, a couple weeks back, and I didn't have a chance to talk with you about it in great detail, although we've spoken about it before. But it is headed at the Federalist. Democrats' favorite talking point about children and gun deaths is a lie. And the reason I wanted to bring this up tonight, John, is because just some of the research coming from the left and Everytown for Gun Safety's nonsense that I covered on the Daily Show last week reverts right back to this. Take it away.
Right. Well, about 15 years or so ago, Bloomberg's Everytown did focus groups, finding out that the one thing that they could do to kind of change the debate on this, particularly for women, and getting the reaction from women, the strongest reaction was the danger that guns supposedly pose for kids. And so we've seen the public health people go and push this. We've seen the Biden administration, many Democratic politicians keep on repeating this claim. And, you know, people can go and we have the links on our website to the Centers for Disease Control, and they can see how the deaths for firearms compared to other things, such as, you know, whether you're talking about people under 18 or under 15, depending on how you want to define kids. You know, if you look at under 15, suffocations are twice the number of deaths that you have from firearms. Even if you define firearms the way the gun control people want to do, they want to define it in terms of homicides, suicides, and accidental deaths. And the problem is that most people probably think that homicides and murders are the same thing. You know, and particularly when you're talking about under 18, you have about 70-some percent, 72% of the homicides are basically 15, 16, 17-year-olds, overwhelmingly gang members. But you also are including justifiable homicides in there. So if a police officer shoots a gang member who's pointing a gun at the police officer, they define that as a homicide, a justifiable homicide, and gets included in the numbers there. And the problem is, you know, the reason why they push this is they want to create kind of the notion that if you could just get rid of these guns, then you wouldn't have these deaths that are there. I don't know if they're thinking about getting rid of the guns that the police have by including that in there. But if you know, in 2023, the last year that the Centers for Disease Control has these numbers, even if you look at for those under 18, you're talking about over 400 of the homicides are not murders that are there. And so it makes a big difference when you're comparing these things. But look, if the ultimate goal is simply say, if you take away guns, you're going to save lives, we know that's not the case. Mm-hmm. We've tried banning handguns, for example, in Chicago and Washington, D.C. in the United States, murder rates went up. Indeed, every single place in the world that's banned either all guns or all handguns has seen an increase in murder rates. And with regard to suicides, while there's evidence that firearm suicides can fall when you ban either all guns or all handguns, total suicides remain unchanged. People simply switch how they're going to go and commit suicide. There are lots of different ways that people can commit suicide that's just as quote unquote successful as in some even slightly more than using a gun. Whether it's hanging oneself or jumping off a building or some other tall structure or stepping in front of a train or a bus. There are lots of different ways that people can go and kill themselves, which results in high likelihood of being dead afterwards. And so, to me, the important thing is whether or not people are committing suicide successfully, not necessarily the method that they use to do it.
Yeah, well, it doesn't fit their political agenda to say that. Ladies and gentlemen, it gets repetitive. We talk about this often because we have to, because the left continues to bring this up. Everytown in Bloomberg's group predominantly, which is where a lot of the other groups go to get a lot of their nonsense information. But it's very, very important that we continue to talk about these issues and bring you the truth, because you're not going to hear it from the mainstream press. John, before we run out of time, I was able to pull up a piece for you that was actually sent to me by Ryan Petty earlier that you and I kind of chuckled back and forth on text, but the headline alone is laughable. And this is from The Hill, just 12 o'clock Eastern time today, ladies and gentlemen. Mexico is protecting the world from gun violence, starting with the U.S. We could go another half hour just on this piece alone, John, but did you get a chance to look this over?
Yeah, I did. I looked at the beginning of it. First of all, it makes the claim that most of the crime guns in Mexico are from the United States, and that's simply a lie. What they do is Mexico doesn't trace all guns back to the United States. It's pretty easy to go and tell whether a gun comes from the United States or some other country because of the serial numbers that we've been putting on our guns since the late 1960s and on many guns even before that. And what you find is that, as they say, and in some years it's been as high as 90% of the guns that they trace back to the United States actually came from the United States. But what you're talking about is they may trace 17% of the crime guns that they have, and maybe 15% come from the United States. Well, that just means they're pretty good at guessing which guns come from the United States when they ask to have them traced back to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
But that ignores all the guns that they didn't trace because they didn't do it. So look, Mexico since 1972 has had one gun store in the country. It's run by the military. The most powerful gun you've been able to buy in Mexico since then is a .22 caliber short round rifle.
John, the numbers are fake, right?
Since then.
I got to cut you off because we're at the end of the ladies and gentlemen. Sure. John, thank you so much for being here, folks. We're going to take a deeper dive into that throughout the rest of the program with Cam Edwards coming up in the next hour, and also in the roundtable. Dr. Lott, thank you so much. We always need more time with John. We love him. We'll be right back, guys. Don't go away. AWR Hawkins next. All right, ladies and gentlemen, coming up next, AWR Hawkins from Breitbart News will be here. We got about 4 or 5 stories to cover with him. So hang in there with us. We've got about 2.5, 3 minutes before the break is over. Yeah, I got to remember to We're back at you now with AWR Hawkins, ladies and gents. Thanks for hanging with us through the break.
It didn't sound too good, so I'm having to go to a better spot.
All right. You heard that, folks. He'll be calling back in.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason on KQAM, Wichita's Big Talker, and you're tuned into the Armed American Radio Network. Now let's get back to the man himself, Mark Walters.
We just love our Andy Hoosier, KQAM, Wichita's Big Talker up there in Wichita. We love you guys. You're tuned in live right now. You guys got a good one in Andy Hoosier. He's the real deal. You'll hear Andy Hoosier live on the program tomorrow on Armed American Radio's Daily Defense with us when we're in the CZ studios. But right this second, we're in the Car Firearms Group studios with you. We're waiting for AWR to get a little bit better signal. So I'll take this opportunity to tell you that, and I need your help here, guys. So I need you to step up to the plate for me here, okay? You got to scratch a brother's back. That's what we do. That's what we do when we fight for the 17 years together on the nation's airwaves. But I've been nominated for a Gundy Award as top 2 voices in the 2A, top voices of the 2A. And the voting for that begins at midnight tonight and runs through the 15th. So from December 1 through December 15th, I want you to act like a Democrat. I want you to vote early and vote often, all right? Do what they do. See if we can pull this off together. And I would appreciate your help. It's easy to do. You visit The Gundies, Gundies, thegundys.com, and vote for me in the top voices of the 2A category. We would appreciate it very much. Heck, just getting in the top 5 would be fantastic, but it would be really nice to win that. We need your help to do it. So act like a Democrat for the first time in your life, and the only time in your life, it's the only time I'll ask you to do that, is to vote early and vote often, beginning tonight through the 15th at thegundys.com. Armed American Radio's Mark Walters, top voices of the 2A. We would appreciate that so much. Welcome back into the Car Firearms Group studio. CZ Mike lit up here at the Patriot Mobile Command Center. NRA bringing it to you. AWR Hawkins Breitbart News. Happy Thanksgiving, my brother. Always a pleasure to have you here. How was your holiday, my friend?
That was good. Really good. Good to see some family.
Yeah, so you got into some cold weather. How'd that feel? It was a cold slap in the face, wasn't it? Man, it was unusually cold here. Woo!
Yeah, it was pretty dang cold still. Still was today, but it was good to, like I said, good to be with family. And
Oh yeah.
I don't ever miss the cold though. I just don't.
Well, you guys, yeah, I mean, you look at some weird weather going on out there. It was very unusual to have the cold weather that we had here I mean, 25 degrees, feels like 19 degrees here at this time of year is unusual. Phoenix, Arizona, for crying out loud, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you saw that, but they got buried in a bunch of hail out there in Phoenix. That was a couple inches deep on the highways out there. I'd never seen that in all the times I've been out in Phoenix, Arizona. You see snow in the mountains. But anyway, so you got a really interesting theme, it looks like, developing over at Breitbart News with a number of the pieces that you've written lately. At least I see a theme, and I don't think that was by design. I think it's just by what you covered seems to fit the theme. So let's start in gun-controlled Chicago, which is one of our favorite places to beat on because they make it so easy. Your headline, Chicago, firefighters held at gunpoint Thanksgiving morning. Engine 91 were held up at gunpoint by alleged armed robbers Thanksgiving morning around 7:30 a.m. So now they're going after firefighters and trying to rob them of what and why, and what does this tell us?
No, that's about it. Yeah, the firefighters looked out the window and they saw three people who were allegedly trying to steal one of the firefighters' cars. So three firefighters ran out, and when they did, the alleged robbers pulled guns on them. Fortunately, they didn't fire them, and the alleged robbers fled in a vehicle. No one can describe the vehicle. And that's that. So as I say, no one was harmed, but it's just in Chicago, nothing's safe. That's the bottom line. If you're in Chicago,
yeah, you're right.
You're living in a dream world if you think you're safe.
Guys, look, take this for the public service announcement that it is. The AWR is right. You're not safe. If you live there and you're listening, I don't care what your mayor tells you. He's a lying dirtbag, and he knows it. But you know it too, particularly if you live there. I know a lot of people who live in Cook County, and many are listening to the show now. A couple participating in the chat right now, for crying out loud. They know, because I've met them personally. AWR points out a quote from ABC 7 that says this: if first responders are vulnerable to guns being drawn while working, what is to prevent these individuals from targeting civilians? The suspects eventually fled in an unknown vehicle, and no one was injured during the incident. AWR, the answer to that question is a real simple one. Nothing. Because I can promise you they already have. This was not their first armed robbery rodeo. That's why they're carrying guns when they're stealing a vehicle, in case they get confronted. These are professional crooks and criminals and thieves. Now, I don't know if you know the ages by any chance, but I'm going to bet you they were young. Do you have any idea on the ages that were involved? No, because
I have no idea. But this is just another lesson. When you leave your house, if you don't have a gun with you, you're crazy. And I don't care whether you live in Chicago, Illinois, or Huntsville, Alabama. If you leave your house and you don't have a firearm to protect yourself and your family, you're crazy. Now, yes, you're even crazier if it's in Chicago, but you're crazy. It's part of your responsibility. People like to go, well, rights come with responsibilities, and that's their way of pushing gun control. Well, I'm saying it a different way. There's a right. It's the right to keep and bear arms. It comes with, when I say responsibility, I mean it comes with a duty. You have a duty to be ready to protect your life and the life of your family. And if you're leaving your home incapable of protecting them because you don't take the tool with you, then you're an embarrassment.
Yeah, I got to tell you, you're right. And I got to tell you, you'll love this because you know my son. In fact, you've known him since he was a lot younger than he is now. But he texted me 2 days ago. He says, Dad, I just walked past my first No Guns Allowed sign. And I loved it. Praised him. My daughter jumped in and said, yep. Anybody goes in there, Ryan's going to be alive. I said, so will others. Now, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that is not a violation of the law in Georgia. So before all you liberal haters out there and those of you over at Media Matters and the rest of you dirtbags listening that like to write about this stuff, it's not a violation of the law. God bless him for doing it. It's that simple. That's the way we live around here, Law Dog. Gun control fail. You'll start to see the theme developing here, ladies and gentlemen, as I'm going right down the list. Gun control fail. 14 shot at family gathering in Stockton, California. Now, California is, correct me if I'm wrong, but California is one, it doesn't every town have it listed in the top 3 most gun-controlled states in the country, one of their utopias, like Illinois?
Yeah, not well. It's in the top 3. It's number 1, and yeah,
There's that.
yeah, there's that. But I've said a million times. I'll say it again. California is number 1 for gun control, and it also led the nation in active shooter incidents in 2021 and 2023. So we already know what the gun control means. But yeah, so you have this incident. And it's an absolute gun control fail. It's not the first one or the only one of the weekend, and I know you're going to get to the other one, but it's just another proof. Gun control controls one group of people, the law-abiding. It doesn't touch the criminal. By nature, the criminal will do that which is criminal. And so he or she is not impacted by a law. And so these laws only do one thing. They make sure the law-abiding is a sitting duck.
Yeah, I have to turn my guns in because it's not on the California approved list, ladies and gentlemen, is something that no criminal ever anywhere has said, particularly in California. You know it, I know it, they know it, we all know it. But they don't care. They'll just keep pushing it anyway. Now, when we come back from the break, AWR is right. We're going to go back to California again. I could flip it to D.C. and go out of order, but why bother? You see the theme developing here, and it's fascinating to talk about. It really, truly is, particularly when we get AWR to D.C. Because now, ladies and gentlemen, of course, we talk about D.C. We're going to talk about the Afghan National, and I'll quote AWR's piece headline now because we will be going to that shortly, right after the break. Afghan National who allegedly shot D.C. National Guard formerly worked with CIA. Well, not just that. He also came from Washington State where, well, he apparently had a Washington State permit, according to a text message I got from Alan Gottlieb. Then he drove all the way across the country to a place that doesn't recognize his permit. You get where we're going with this. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast continues. We're going to have some more fun at the gun grabber's expense because they make it oh so easy to do. It's just checkmate one right after the other. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast from the Car Firearms Group studios here at the Patriot Mobile Command Center. Mark Walters in front of the CZ microphone for you. It's all brought to you by the NRA. We'll be right back after the break. Don't go away. I got the show planned out pretty well today. It was really easy to do the prep. Guys, we're back at you. Welcome in.
This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
Welcome back. If you are watching this live national radio program airing on hundreds of radio stations around the nation, you can't see my card, and I don't want you to watch while you're driving or anything like that on your devices. Many of you, please don't do that. Just don't be that person. You've got your Bluetooth in your car. You can listen to the show wherever it is you're going for the entire distance because of that Bluetooth, and we appreciate it much. But I'm holding up my Attorneys on Retainer card, ladies and gentlemen. I carry this. My son carries it. My daughter carries it. My wife carries it for a reason. Every story that you're hearing, everything that we talk about, God forbid you find yourself in a situation where you have to use that firearm, even pull it, not use it, can result in a charge for aggravated assault against you that in some states will carry somewhere from 3 years to up to 20 years in the state of Georgia. Attorneys on Retainer, make sure you have this card in your wallet. Keep in mind, if there's an investigation and you use your firearm, you are not entitled to attorney by law until you've been charged. And by then, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have this, it is too late. Attorneysonretainer.us. Use the promo code AAR. Take advantage of the awesome discounts that we have over there for you, and put this card in your wallet. It's that simple. It's dumb not to. Just get her done. Give that to yourself or have somebody get that for you as a Christmas gift coming into the holidays. It is $35 a month. Best $35 a month you will ever spend. You will sleep well. AWR Hawkins, welcome back, brother. So let me jump to, because I went into that national, the Afghan national. Let me jump down to that. We'll go back to California in a second because we have time. But Afghan national who allegedly shot D.C. National Guard formerly worked with CIA. And you also have another report below that. Afghan national who allegedly shot D.C. National Guard members shouted, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And they're trying to blame Trump for this. The left is trying to blame Donald Trump for this. We all know how it occurred. It occurred during the Biden administration when these clowns were let in by the hundreds. What can you tell us about this so far?
Well, I mean, pushing to make it Donald Trump's fault, I hope they keep doing that because that's a loser. And everybody knows the guy came in under Biden. Everybody knows it. And he came in under Biden because, as you said, that was the left's MO. That's how they roll. And so, they can keep trying to blame Trump all they want. It's not going to happen. And the guy did work with the CIA in Afghanistan. And there you go. And but letting him in was a whole nother game, and that's what Biden did, and that's why he was here. And I'll tell you what Trump's going to do. Two things. Number one, Biden let this guy in. Number two, Trump's going to execute him. And so I like Trump's plan a lot better than I like Biden's. And I will say with my whole heart, I hope they'll execute him without all the concern about being humane, because he was not very humane when he shot these two National Guardsmen. So I would like to see him, and I don't say it, no hyperbole. I would like to see him die a slow but certain death, and to hear him cry out for them to stop because of how bad the pain is. That's the kind of execution I hope the state will give him. And by the state, I mean with a capital S, the U.S. government. That's the kind of execution I hope they give him. I hope it hurts. I hope it hurts real bad. And I hope everyone else who's thinking maybe I'm going to do a copycat crime will think twice and go, not a good line of work. I don't think I'm going to follow in his footsteps.
I agree with everything that you said. Did you hear me, lefties? I absolutely agree with you 100,000 gobzillion %. But I have to go here, AWR. This guy apparently came from Washington. D.C.'s gun laws did nothing to prevent this whatsoever. We all know that's the case because who do those gun laws impact, as you pointed out? Law-abiding citizens, not people hell-bent on this. And I think when you consider what he did in the past, look, ladies and gentlemen, the nation's intelligence work gets very dirty. You deal with a lot of dirty actors, okay? It's that simple. It's sad, but it's true. You have to deal with a lot of dirty, nasty people. AWR, the left's rhetoric after this is likely to result in something else. I hope to God that prediction is wrong, But these people will not let up on the left. Democrat politicians, all these loudmouth buffoons on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, on social media, are going to wind up getting somebody killed. And ladies and gentlemen in the roundtable, I'm going to name one of those idiots by name when we talk with Ryan and Brad Premo and, of course, Justin Moon. Let's go back to California, because sometimes I have a hard time with these headlines when I know how much gun control there is. But were there really 3 shot during a Black Friday attack at a shopping mall in gun-controlled California? Does that really happen? I thought gun control was supposed to stop this.
Yeah, no, it happened, and fortunately, these 3, none of them had life-threatening wounds, but nonetheless, no one wants to be shot. But again, California, and when Newsom runs for president, and he's going to run, and he's already running, that's why he's everywhere. When he runs for president officially, he's going to tout how successful gun control has been in the state. But the catch is, it hasn't been successful. And I've covered that, and I've covered it till I'm blue in the face at Breitbart. What Newsom will do is he'll get up on stage and go, we have a lower homicide rate than Florida, or we have a lower homicide rate. He's going to name some other pro-gun state.
Mm-hmm.
The reason he will do that, I'm preparing your audience, the reason he will do that, and I've covered this at Breitbart, is because if he were to just look at the raw numbers, which is all you care about, if he were to do firearm homicides versus firearm homicides, far fewer firearm homicides in Florida than in California. So he can't do that. So he has to go to homicide rate. This is the kind of trickery that he's going to throw out after he puts his Vaseline in his hair and combs it up real straight. That's what he's going to do. Now, the deal is this. He's got a good smile, and he can talk okay if he's on a teleprompter. But he is not the brightest bulb in the house. And J.D. Vance will eat his lunch.
Yeah.
And that'll be beautiful when it happens. But it's not just the gun control that has caused the unbelievable crime. And it literally, I would put a causality on it. It's not just that gun control correlates with, I would argue that gun control causes unbelievable crime because it handcuffs the law-abiding and it lets the criminal run free. It's not just that's going to be hard on him. His economy, his fuel prices, he continues to pass and maintain regulation that if you go to California right now, what are you going to pay? $6.20 a gallon, $6.10 a gallon. And, on and on I can go. The way he's done criminal justice over there, the criminals are in the streets. So the law-abiding can't get guns to defend themselves, but people who should be behind bars are in line behind them at a 7-Eleven right now. And that is the California he's created. So it's not going to be as easy as he thinks when he tries to come out and run and lie and he uses his trickery. Someone like J.D. Vance is going to eat his lunch.
But he is going to do it, and you are absolutely right about that. AWR Hawkins, happy Thanksgiving, brother, to you and your beautiful family and all your extended family. Please make sure to tell them I said hello. Sorry I couldn't see you this week, but we'll take care of that soon enough. AWR Hawkins, Breitbart News, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to read everything that he writes, because when it comes time to call Newsom out, the White House will use some of his work to do just that, as they've already done at the podium, at the press, as the press secretary has already done at the podium. So AWR is awesome, doing amazing work over there. And I do want to point out from his last piece regarding California, California has more gun control than any other state in the nation. Those controls include a red flag law, an assault weapons ban, high-capacity mag ban, 10-day waiting period on gun purchase, universal background checks, gun registration requirements, a limit on the number of gun laws citizens can buy, prohibitions against concealed carry, self-defense. I'm going to run out of time. There's still so many to go. You get the idea. Cam Edwards next. Don't go away. We'll see you at 6 after the hour.
You just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, guys, thanks for being here. Again, 6 minutes after, we'll be back. Cam Edwards from Cam and Company. We've got him for the full hour. He's written a lot of great stuff over at bearingarms.com. And it's, as you know, if you hear Cam on the program, if you've ever heard him on the show before, and you likely have if you're a longtime listener, he brings out the best in everybody, including you, the listener. Cam is so good. He'll make you think about all this stuff, just like all of our guests do. So we're looking forward to having Cam on. We'll see you. We're going to take a quick break here. Network break, top of the hour. All those local radio station affiliates around the country, and there are a couple hundred of them at least, are out there running their spots right now. And we'll be back in at 6 minutes after. We'll see if we can bring the mic back just a little bit early for you. And remember, at midnight tonight Eastern Time, wherever you are, in fact, at midnight tonight, visit thegundys.com. Give us a vote over there. Top voices of the 2A. You'll find my name up there, Mark Walters. Of course, I'm filling your prescription for freedom every single day on the nation's airwaves, 6 days a week, and we would really appreciate your support. Please vote for us over there. That's the only time I'll ever ask you to be a Democrat. Vote often, vote early, okay? Take care of that over there and help a brother out at thegundys.com, beginning at midnight tonight through the 15th. Midnight tonight through the 15th. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with the great Cam Edwards from Bearing Arms and Cam and Company, which, by the way, I will be on his show tomorrow, so make sure to tune in to Cam and Company. We'll be doing that for you as well. So we're just going to keep this party rolling into tomorrow. We'll be back at 6 minutes after, guys. Thanks for sticking around.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Car Firearms Group studio at the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association.
National Rifle Association.
Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
All right, ladies and gents, here we go. Hour 2, Armed American Radio. Hour 1 in the bag already. We're live on Facebook here in the Car Firearms Group studios. If you want to watch the program, again, don't do that while you're driving, please. It's cool to be able to watch it, but don't if you're driving. Be safe. You can listen on your Bluetooth driving across the country, okay? And if you're driving home, I hope you're being very careful. And I know a lot of you are driving home listening to the program today from wherever you are, particularly in the Midwest. Nasty weather. So please, please, please be very careful and pay attention to the road and listen to the show. Don't watch it, okay? Unless somebody over there sitting there watching it and you can hear it while they're watching it, and they can watch it. Not you while you're driving, all right? Welcome inside the Car Firearms Group studios. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today and every day here in front of this CZ microphone, the powerful CZ microphone right now on this Sunday Monstercast. And we're coming to you from the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center, all brought to you by the NRA. Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. Give us a follow over there as well. Please help us get back over 100,000. We need your help. Scratch each other's backs. That's how the game works. Greg and Dallas, I'll let you tell them where to go and what to do in the chat, and we'll go to our guest, Cam Edwards.
Sure, other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. You can hit us up on X at AAR Mark. You can head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. And lastly, to join the live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Boom. That'll do it. Cam Edwards, Cam & Company, Bearing Arms. Happy Thanksgiving, my brother. It's great to have you on the program today. I hope you had a wonderful, wonderful holiday with family and friends and all that fun stuff. And, man, you know, Cam, I thought I was going to be tired today. I'm ready to rock and roll. How about you, brother?
You know, when you asked me if I wanted to come on the show tonight, I thought, do I want to end my Thanksgiving vacation about 10 hours early? And I thought, yeah, for Mark, I absolutely do. I want to hang out for an hour. So
well, there you go.
Appreciate the invite as always. And yeah, it was a good Thanksgiving. You know, it was our first without Miss C, and I was in charge of cooking for the very first time, Mark. Like, you know, this was one of her culinary high holy days. So, like, I helped, you know, lift things in the kitchen, but I never cooked. But so I feel like I did a good job. I got compliments on the stuffing. Turkey turned out nice and moist. So yeah, it was a good Thanksgiving.
I have to ask, how many did you cook for?
Oh, it was only me and the two youngest, so it was easy peasy.
All right, so that's good. That's good. But you did it. You pulled it off. Yet another accomplishment.
Yeah, next year I could probably double it up. Next year I could do for 6.
Yeah,
you know?
Well, you got to go easy the first go around. Never experiment with a large crowd, you know? Nothing ever works right when you try it that way. Well, I'm glad to have you here, and I'm looking forward to being with you on Cam & Company tomorrow. We have, you know, it's kind of weird to say this. It was kind of a slow week, but not, you know, because some of the stories that I got to get an update from you on Virginia. I covered a piece from you the other day, and you made it very, very clear that as time marches now, and we are 1 month away today, literally 1 month away from the new session beginning in Virginia, and boy, you don't have a rosy outlook on this, Cam. I just got to say that. Bring us up to speed, brother, because it's looking bad.
It is looking bad, and you know, well, you know, so what's interesting, Mark, is I think the Democrats learned a lesson. 6 years ago, when they took over state government, Ralph Northam, who was the governor at the time, started, you know, blabbing about wanting a ban on so-called assault weapons. You know, the day after the election was over. And then, you know, gun owners mobilized, right? So throughout November and December, you saw the Second Amendment sanctuary movement take shape. In late November in 2019, I went to Amelia County, which is about 45 minutes from where I live. A resolution was not even on the agenda that night, but there were hundreds of people outside of the courthouse because they could not fit inside the courthouse. Like, you know, that really, they awakened a giant, right? And so this year, Democrats have been very careful. They've been very slow to introduce gun control bills. We know that they're coming. You know, we've heard talk that, you know, they're crafting their ban on so-called assault weapons in closed-door meetings. State Senator Scott Surville made a comment at the Virginia Crime Commission meeting a couple of weeks ago that a permit to purchase law is something that Democrats are looking at, akin to Maryland's handgun qualification license. So, you would need to take a training course. You would need to pass a live fire test. You would need to perhaps submit fingerprints, but you would need to apply for permission to purchase a pistol to keep in your home, not even to carry out in public. And this is just a couple of the bills that we know are coming. And I spoke with Philip Van Cleve from the Virginia Citizen Defense League on Bearing Arms Cam Company not long ago. They're getting ready for Lobby Day, which is coming up in January. Hopefully it's going to be a great turnout. In 2020, we saw tens of thousands of people. I don't know that we're going to get that, because I still think that this is not top of mind for a lot of gun owners in Virginia, because Democrats are playing their cards so close to the vest. Until we have something to react to, I'm afraid that a lot of folks are just going to be. I mean, there's a million other things to think about, right?
So that begs this question:
until that gun control bill gets.
When is Lobby Day?
Yeah. Lobby Day is January 19th.
All right. So here's the question, and I guess I'll ask it in a general way. Do you expect the Democrats at this point, as we get closer to January, do you expect, and I use this term pun intended, that they're going to shotgun these bills out just because they can't help themselves, that they're just salivating? Are they going to throw them out at one time, or are they going to play a little, as you said, close to their vest, and maybe move 1-2 from a strategic standpoint, make it look like we're not going to do it all at once, and then just do it over the course of the session? Or will they just shotgun these out at one time?
So there's a deadline, and I don't know what the deadline is, but there's a deadline to file bills, and it's right around Lobby Day, so it's mid-January. And what I suspect is going to happen is you may see one or two, maybe even more than one or two bills get introduced. But I think the bulk of the gun control legislation that's supported by Democratic leadership is going to come very, very close to that filing deadline. Mm-hmm. Because I think Democrats want to keep that sleeping giant asleep, right? They don't want a second round of Second Amendment sanctuary. They don't want Commonwealth attorneys and county sheriffs and county supervisors across the state of Virginia being lobbied by their residents saying, hey, take a stand for our Second Amendment rights. And in the case of these county sheriffs, in the case of these Commonwealth attorneys, hey, you don't have to enforce these laws, right? Yeah. You've got discretion. And please apply that discretion when it comes to laws that are going to violate our right to keep and bear arms. I still think that movement is coming. Again, I think it's just a matter of time, and I think the Democrats want to delay implementation as long as they can, and delay introduction as long as they can, to keep gun owners, kind of off our game, right? Like I said, there's a million other things going on. We're getting ready for Christmas. We've all got, national news top of mind right now. And, I don't think a lot of gun owners in Virginia are thinking about the bills that aren't there for them to look at, right?
Yeah, and because that will have a huge impact on turnout for Lobby Day. And let's go back and look at some numbers the last time. Those numbers, in my estimation, and I think pretty close to yours, were between 50 and 60,000 people there. And you could see the drone footage of that while the media was telling you it was a fraction of that. We all know it was a lie. Because, again, they, as you know, Cam, they want you to believe your lying eyes. Don't believe your lying eyes, right? You're not looking at all those people. That's not real. This go around, because it's more prevalent, I guarantee you're going to say, oh, that was AI. People are going to say it was AI generated. But I think Virginians are smart enough as we get closer and closer to that date. And as much as I hate to admit this, the Democrats are smart enough too, because I think you're right in your analogy that they are going to push this because they don't want another 60,000 people out in that street. If there's anything that they can do to keep that from happening, and they already know what happened. I think, 99 out of 100 counties in Virginia. What's the county count in your state?
We've got 120 counties and independent cities, and about 100 of them passed Second Amendment sanctuary resolutions of some form, right?
Yeah, that's a huge number. And if anybody knows how to get that out, VCDL certainly knows how to do it. They are the premier organization that, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know this, if you listen to the show, you likely do. But it was VCDL and the formation of VCDL. Cam, I'll take us to the break with this. I've just been notified we have 30 seconds. But it was the formation of VCDL in Virginia that gave birth to, well, the organizations that I'm a member of out in Arizona, AZCDL, and of course Georgia Carry. They've been around for a long time, but it was the birth of Virginia Citizens Defense League, ladies and gentlemen, that really became the model for your state's rights organization. No matter what state you live in, you can pretty much harken back to VCDL for being a real catalyst in that. So they know what they're doing there, and I'm hopeful that they do what they do as good as they do it coming up in January, and we see more than 60,000. But the Democrats have cards up their sleeve as well, too. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast continues. Hour 2, well underway. Cam Edwards from Cam & Company and Bearing Arms. We'll cover some of his writings when we come back. Don't go away. See you on the flip side of the break, guys. Greg, you on the Zoom button there?
I'm trying. Doesn't seem to be working or not.
I'll disagree with you on that. After next segment, halfway done already. It seems to be flying by. That first break was interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, Greg and I can determine here, even though we're sitting in different studios across the country, halfway across the country from each other, we can tell when the show is going to really fly. And that's how fast the breaks go. That first break went slow, didn't it? In the first hour? Seemed to. And Greg, this one appears to be moving slow too.
Oh, yep.
But that's only because I'm reading something here for the upcoming conversation with Cam. Spoke too soon, less than a minute.
$30.
following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I had to hit that mic mute button so I get you back live here. Welcome back inside the Car Firearms Group studios with me, Mark Walters, filling your prescription for freedom in front of this CZ microphone. On-air lights are going at the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center Ranch, and of course, it's all brought to you by the National Rifle Association. So join us, please. I say us because I'm a member. You need to be a member as well. Listen to what's going on in Virginia in this conversation with Cam. And guys, they're based in Virginia. Don't think that they're not going to be working on this for you. They are, and we need your help to do it. We need you to help us grow that membership back up, get us back over 6.5 million, which would be huge. NRA.org/AAR. You can see all the great deals that we have there for you. Save you $10 on the 1 year, 15 on the 3, 25 on the 5, and 500 on the life. NRA.org/AAR. You can also visit all of our great partners. You find them all at armedamericanradio.com or .org, and that includes Bud's Gun Shop. You got the holidays coming up, goatguns.com, budsgunshop.com, boom, Crossbreed Holsters, boom. They're all there for you. Heaven's Harvest, they're all there for you. Patriot Supply, or Patriots Relief, Defender Coffee, all of them are there. So you can do all your shopping right there at one spot. Tyrannics, if you want to get some really cool gear. I have a sweatshirt, but I washed it. It was still wet, so I couldn't wear it on the air tonight. But it's some really good high-quality gear over there, and you can find all of that at armedamericanradio.com. I want to give a big shout-out to my dear friend, Carrie Ann Auclair, who is watching the program and wanted to call in today. We'll see if we can make that work maybe in the round table, Carrie, so stay up with us. We might be able to sneak in there for a few minutes. Thanks for tuning in. And by the way, get yourself a new computer. Quit having to reboot that thing, okay? Buy yourself an Apple. Get yourself a Mac. I'm just saying. Cam Edwards, welcome back, my brother. How are you today?
I am good, and hey to Carrie Ann Auclair as well.
Yeah, there you go. She knew I was talking with you, and she said, let's give him a shout-out. Tell everybody I said hello. So, Carrie, there you go. We love you, darling. Appreciate everything that you do up at Gun Owners Action League in Minnesota. Massachusetts. Might as well be Minnesota, right? They start with an M, and they're both gun control havens.
Right.
What a mess. So, Cam, you have a really interesting story up that when I first saw it, if I'm just headline surfing, and you know me well enough to know I don't like to just headline surf, you got to get into the meat, right? Headlines are designed to be misleading, but not when they come from you and bearing arms. And I looked at this story and I thought, do we want to cover this? It seems like a home invasion story. But then when I started reading this, holy crap, bro, there's a ton going on here. So let's get into this a little bit. Florida home invaders arrested after shootout inside residence. Now, you just published this piece today, so this is fresh meat for you, ladies and gentlemen, and you can find it at bearingarms.com. Authorities in Osceola County, Florida, have arrested 5 men who allegedly committed a brazen home invasion at an Airbnb property earlier this month before the occupants were able to fend off their assailants with the help of their firearms. Now, the sheriff that you point to here, Christopher Blackman, says there have been several reported home invasions in the area, and the 5 could be connected to other crimes. First off, let's assume that's probably the case. In the November 5 incident, the 5 men are accused of arming themselves and forcing their way into a short-term rental, but at least one resident was able to fight back. So, Cam, tell us about the residents, their ages, the rap sheets. There is so much going on here. Let's pick it apart a little bit.
Yeah. So the first thing that was interesting to me is that you really had to dig to find out that, this was a defensive gun use, right?
Yeah.
Nothing in the headline indicated that, just maybe the word shootout, and still very little information from the sheriff about the lawful people who were inside that short-term rental. But we do know that there was a juvenile female who told police that a group of guys got out of the car carrying various types of guns. They were dressed in black, wearing ski masks. They forced her inside the home at gunpoint. An altercation occurred, according to the sheriff's office, and property was forcibly taken from the juvenile victim. Then we get the vague statement that shots were fired, and the suspects, along with everyone inside the home, then fled the scene. So again, not a lot of details, but clearly there was at least one person there who was in a position to defend themselves and others from this group of home invaders. The other thing is, 3 of these 5 are 20 years old. So too young to legally carry a gun in Florida. And there was another recent home invasion in Volusia County. It's about 90 miles north of Osceola County. And again, multiple young adults / teenagers. And this is where you get into that criminal record, right? So 18-year-old Jamar Rashawn Battle, he's 18, 38 prior felony charges, and 15 misdemeanors. Then you have James Jermaine Cropper Jr., also 18, who has 22 prior felony charges, as well as 4 misdemeanors. Mark, I mean, that's more than one felony per year for every, the year these 2 individuals have been alive. I don't know how many of those felonies would have been charged as juveniles, right? But the fact that these are 18-year-old adults, and they already have a rap sheet that long, it speaks to a couple of things. One, the fact that criminals, they don't care what the gun control laws are. They don't care that Florida says you've got to be 21 to purchase a firearm at retail, because they're not buying their guns at retail, right? They're buying their guns in the black market. They're stealing their guns. They don't care what Florida law says, that you got to be 21 to carry a firearm. They don't care about those laws. But the other thing is, they apparently don't care about the laws against home invasion, because how do you manage to rack up that many charges and still be out on the street?
Well, let's do some basic math here, okay? And let me put my pen to the paper here. I have a notepad here. 38 plus 22, 8 and 2. That means to put a 0, carry the 1. 3 and 1 is 4. Add the 2. That's 60 felonies between 2 of them, and they're not over 21 years old?
Right?
Why are you walking around? How many chances do you need, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, this is patently absurd. Now, I would love to have a conversation with the sheriff about this, Blackman, on this, because that's when I started reading this. I'm like, good Lord, you got to be kidding me, right? And then you ask this question, the operative question: how does an 18-year-old manage to catch this many felony charges and remain out on the streets instead of being in prison? Now, you're right. Some of them were likely juvenile crimes, but they're felony juvenile crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I can promise you this, Cam. These men, they're men, ladies and gentlemen, grown men. They did not walk into that house as their first, let's see how this works, rodeo. These are seasoned, hardened criminals at less than 21 years old, Cam. That should scare the living crap out of everybody. 30 seconds to the music. Take it away.
Well, no, you're absolutely right. It should.
Wow.
And, we've got a kind of a related story about some teens who did a smash and grab burglary of a gun shop, which is another huge issue right now, where, again, if you're underage, you're going to get a slap on the wrist, right? You may get some time in juvenile detention. You may just be released to your parents or to, the custody of a guardian. When we send a message like that message is received loud and clear. And the message is you can commit these crimes, and you really don't have to worry about the consequences.
And ladies and gentlemen, I ask you this question, honestly and sincerely. What party wants to eliminate jails, wants to provide cash incentives or cash bails? It's all Democrats, ladies and gentlemen. Let them out. It's Soros prosecutors. Unbelievable. Cam, when we come back, let's go to those gun stores just for blanks and grins. We'll be right back.
you know that the crew of the Desperado Sport Fish in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and the Second Amendment, and I'm right there with them. Now back to Mark Walters.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for the rejoin, Mike Gallagher. We appreciate it very much. Car Firearms Group Studios lit up for you. We are now officially halfway through today's post-Thanksgiving 2025 broadcast. I'm still trying to get my head around the fact that Thanksgiving's already come and gone, Greg and Dallas. Good heavens. And here we are now moving into Christmas. And if your house is like my house, ladies and gentlemen, Amazon delivered 3 different times today. I didn't know they did that, but they do. Somebody also made a delivery on Thanksgiving Day. I couldn't believe it, but it's the times we live in, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, folks. Speaking of Christmas coming up, Goat Guns, make sure to pick them up. They are phenomenal gifts for the gun lover in your family and just for the tinkerers, because you build them. Just don't do it live on YouTube. It'll get you suspended like it did me, but nonetheless, they are a tremendous amount of fun. It is addicting. You'll love them. They are very reasonably priced, anywhere from $29 to $59, and you can get some really cool stuff over there, as Greg can attest to. He's got a bunch of them, so do I. And that's goatguns.com. Great gifts for the gun lover in you. And it's age 13 and up. Tremendous amount of fun. Takes about 5 to 6 minutes to build one, and they're very, very cool. Little miniature, kind of working. Of course, they're not real, but they do all the right stuff. Goatguns.com. And if you want to get some great Christmas specials, budsgunshop.com has you covered. Make sure to check out the site every day for all of the cool items coming up. It's Cyber Monday. Just go to budsgunshop.com and pick up some gifts. You need what they have. It's that simple. Support these businesses that support this show, and we'll talk more about them throughout the remainder of the broadcast. All right, Cam. So let's go to let me ask you this. Did you want to highlight anything else in here? Because you bring up some great points in this one story. The 18 to 21-year-old, they're not old enough. The amount of felonies that these clowns have underneath them. The minor, did she shoot? We just don't know enough about how the shootout occurred, but we have a lot of young people involved here, and some of them are hardcore criminals. Now, there were no arrests made by anyone in the house who was already there. They were, in fact, viewed as the victim here, right? Is that all we know right now, or do you expect more to come out?
I do expect we'll know more eventually, when these cases go to preliminary hearing. The sheriff didn't say anything about anybody who had rented out the home being arrested. So it sounds like they believe that they were acting in self-defense. And, if somebody invades, you don't have to have a deed or a mortgage to be able to defend yourself, right? A short-term rental, you have a right to be there. Mm-hmm. The home invaders do not. And in Florida, you've got the right, your home is your castle. Mm-hmm. Even the home that you're renting for the night or a couple of nights. So, yeah, it sounds like these folks, however many armed citizens there were, it sounds like, they are viewed rightfully as the victims who are able to defend themselves.
Yeah, and you're right about Florida. Let me point this out. Those of you that live in Florida know this. It might be the same in your state. It likely is. But Florida, because of the amount of tourists, it is written into Florida law. That rental property, whether it's a hotel room or whether it's a Airbnb, whatever it is, ladies and gentlemen, that is your domicile. That is your home, period, during that. And they have some very strong laws that protect that in the state of Florida. God bless them. So, the question becomes, well, where do these young kids, where are they getting their guns? You pointed it out in the previous segment. But I think it's worth going there because I have a couple examples here. And when you mention the gun shops, my local gun store here over the past 5 years has been broken into no fewer than 4 times. And they were brazen.
Wow.
I mean, literally pulled a Dodge Durango and backed it up into the wall until the wall fell in. Went in, they were in and out in 120 seconds, got several hundred firearms. Mm-hmm. They just cleaned the place out, a stack of AR-15s, brand new in boxes. Most of them were busted in that particular robbery, Cam, in a robbery in Augusta, Georgia, and those guns were being moved via gang up north. So that is how these thieves operate, ladies and gentlemen. There's no background check, no universal check, no waiting period, nothing going to stop these people. When they realized it worked the first time, they did it again about 2 days later. After that, there was a professional hit where the guys were actual mobsters, ladies and gentlemen. They went in dressed up like, AT&T security people. They were working out there in yellow vests, and what they did, Cam, was rewired everything to go off at a certain time, including all of the other local businesses' cameras, knocked out the electricity. Those guys were in that shop. They could have stayed there for 5 hours. Nobody would have known they were there. So the next time they went in through the roof. It's one thing after another before they were finally able to get a handle on this stuff. But the point here is that, guys, criminals do not go to a gun shop and buy a gun and get a background check. They go in to case it, and then they come back and they pull Dodge Durangos and bash it right into the brick wall. Cam, how long is it going to take? Not just the other side to figure this out, but the Americans who fall for the nonsense from the left that believe an actual background check is going to stop these losers and scumbags.
I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'll tell you this. I think the gun control lobby has figured out to one degree or another, but they want to blame the gun stores.
Yeah.
Right? And so you look at the security requirements that they put in place for FFLs in Illinois, for example. California, we've seen this at the local level where, you've got to have video surveillance. You have to record and keep, umpteen hours of footage. So the storage alone is costing these FFLs thousands of dollars, plus the equipment, right? And a lot of times it's tough. I mean, if you are a gun store owner, you don't necessarily own that building, right? You own your business, but you may very well lease the property. So what happens when your landlord refuses to put up, balustrades in front of the storefront there so that you can't ram a car through the front window? A lot of these gun store owners, rather, their hands are tied to some degree, and it puts them in a really difficult position. But, we are seeing this increasingly, Mark, where, again, I mean, I've seen stories, kids as young as 12 years old, and they'll steal a car. Actually, they'll steal two cars. They'll steal a car or a truck, use that vehicle to ram into the storefront. As you say, they're out in 120 seconds. They pop into that second stolen car, drive off into the night, and, again, we're dealing with kids in a lot of cases, so they're not exactly criminal masterminds, right? We are able to see or arrest, I think, in a fair number of these crimes. We're not always able to see those guns recovered by the time the arrest is made. And, unfortunately, again, when you're dealing with the juvenile justice system, the idea is, okay, well, we're going to try to rehabilitate them, which is great if that's possible.
In theory.
But all too often, that amounts to, well, let's let them out. We'll put them on probation. They'll go to, counseling, things of that nature. And I got to tell you, I mean, I just think that sends the wrong message. These are very serious crimes. Let's treat them like serious crimes. Just because somebody's 14, 15, 16 years old, I don't know about you, Mark. I mean, my parents certainly thought I was old enough to know right from wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I did the wrong thing as a 16-year-old, I got busted.
You were old enough. You were old enough to know right from wrong. At 16, you're old enough to know it at 14. And when you're out there committing felonies, ladies and gentlemen, lock them up as adults. It's that simple. Now, Cam, I want to say this before we go to a break. In that second robbery, after the first Durango went through, they realized they were going to go back. This case, it was caught. These weren't the professionals. And when I say professionals, think of the movie Heat. That's the way these guys were operating that other one. They were very good at what they did. And they never got caught, and they likely never will, but it was a professional crew. Suffice to say, the second robbery, I will say this, small town, those of you that live in Atlanta will know the area is Marietta Highway, Route 5. Okay, it's this particular store, Cam, is very, very just a quarter mile from the interstate, and there's only one way in and out, 5 running north and south. That's it. These guys had positioned 2 individuals facing northbound and 2 individuals facing southbound with AR-15s, waiting for police vehicles to make an approach. They were in and out fast enough that cops did not get there in the small town. Had they gotten there, they would have been fired upon at a distance from both sides. It would have been a mess. But that's the way criminals operate. They had no intentions of getting caught. They were absolutely willing, caught on tape, to get into a firefight with local responding law enforcement. And it would have turned out ugly for them because they would have been ambushed as they were making an approach. No background check is going to stop these people, ladies and gentlemen. To think so is a joke, and you need to get your head examined. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast here in the Car Firearms Group studios. Mark Walters in front of the CZ mics, all brought to you by the NRA at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. One more segment to go with Cam, another couple stories to cover quickly. All right, guys, we're back at you here in about 20 seconds. Remember, those of you who grew up in podcast world, and this is an actual radio show, so those breaks are actual network breaks on the sides and the bottom and top of each hour, because we are airing on hundreds of radio stations, actual radio stations around the nation right now, all four corners of the country, from South Florida up to New England to Seattle, Washington, all the way down to Southern California and everywhere in between. Coming back at you here in a couple seconds. Literally.
If you own a firearm, you know that a self-defense incident can happen anytime. That's why you need Attorneys on Retainer. They're the only self-defense program backed by real attorneys who specialize in self-defense cases. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
Yeah, guys, they are the real deal. That's all they do is self-defense law. That's it. Don't call them and ask them to work on a will or real estate or divorce, any of that stuff. No, just self-defense and keeping your hide out of the slammer for defending yourself with a firearm, which you have a right to do in the United States. Okay? Attorneysonretainer.us, $35 a month, and you'll save $50 off the $100 sign up on the individual fee over there. And the monthly fee, if you bring a family in like I did, is $25 per family member. It is worth every penny, and you will save $50 on each member as well. So take advantage of this. Put this card in your wallet if you're watching. If you're not and you're just listening and driving, and hopefully that's what you're doing while you're driving, I'm holding up my card. It's about the size of a credit card, and it gives you all the instructions you need on the back, and you will hear the attorneys from Attorneys on Retainer, from the Attorneys for Freedom Law Firm, on this program from time to time. Joey Hamby is amazing. Attorneysonretainer.us. The promo code, of course, is AAR. And you can find them and all of our great partners and sponsors at armedamericanradio.com or .org. Cam Edwards, Bearing Arms, Cam and Company, welcome back. We got you for one more segment, brother.
See how fast the time goes. Every
I
time
know.
I'm on this show, Mark.
It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, two guys having a conversation and it flies right by. So I want to move quick now because this segment does boogie right along. Washington Examiner profiles pro-2A immigrants. I'll tell you why I find this interesting. You remember Alan Corwin, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Alan Corwin's been in this game for many, many, many years. And he made a comment on this program a number of years ago, and I believe it was during the Obama administration. We were talking about immigration, and Alan made a great point. He said, you know, Mark, something we don't think about. When you hear about immigrants coming across the southern border, okay, he said, how many of them are actually pro-gun? And we just don't know it. Because where they come from, they don't have a Second Amendment right. And I bet he would say, if we play our cards right, we could probably bring a lot of them to our side. And there's a lot of truth to that. And in a sense, this is pretty much what you talk about here. But you talk about people coming here legally. There's a difference. But why aren't most of them? You would think, hey, I go to the United States, I can carry my gun because I come from a place where I've been a crime victim and I can't carry a gun, but I can in the U.S. You're finding out and you're writing about this actually, this is real.
It absolutely is. It was a great article at the Washington Examiner. It really went in depth and talked to a number of immigrants from, various places around the world, including, but, I think that the one commonality was that these are all individuals who did come from places that don't possess a right to keep their arms and have very restrictive gun control laws. There was a woman named Nayara Andrejczyk who moved from Brazil. And, she talked about her dad, I guess, was a police officer. So her dad had a gun growing up, and she was always very curious about it, but never really got a chance to shoot. Brazil, under Bolsonaro, loosened its gun laws, but until then, they basically had a May issue system for gun ownership, and less than 2% of the country legally owned firearms because it was so difficult to do so. So it wasn't until she moved to the United States that she was actually able to go to the range for the first time. And she went to a range in Pennsylvania. She said she was immediately hooked. As the Washington Examiner writes, soon she was shooting weekly. She was working at a gun shop. She was entering competitions.
Love it.
Today she's a certified instructor, a self-proclaimed gun evangelist, right? And so, obviously this is not the experience of everybody who moves to the United States. I think there are some people who, didn't grow up around guns. They still are very much afraid of guns. They don't want to look at guns. But there are, again, those immigrants who are very cognizant that one of the freedoms they possess, being in the United States, that you don't possess almost everywhere else on earth, is that freedom, that right to be able to own a firearm for self-defense, for hunting, for competitive shooting, for whatever reason. And you don't have to explain yourself, Mark. You don't have to justify why you want to own a gun to the government in most states around the country.
Extend that M a little bit, emphasize that. It's interesting because I would go to, and I do it every year. This year I wasn't able to physically be there, but I've been going up to the Car Rod of Iron Festival, where I've either spoken or emceed to a certain extent for 5 years at that festival. And it's always a tremendous amount of fun. But what's interesting? Every time I'm there, this last one was a group of Japanese, probably 20 of them, 30 of them, and they wanted me to take photos, group photos of them with their firearms, holding some of the firearms at car. They all love the Tommy gun. So I took tremendous pictures of them and sent them to them. They love coming to the United States because they can do things here that they can't do back home. It's so restrictive. So they come to the United States specifically to come to these events so that they can exercise a right to bear arms, and they love it, and I love seeing it. It's just not something we hear about all the time. So I applaud the Washington Examiner for bringing this up, and I applaud you for getting it out to a lot of our readers and viewers and listeners that might not see the Washington Examiner piece, that will see it on bearing arms right now. So these are things that we have to keep in mind, and it fascinates me because even when Corwin was talking about that, it dawned on me, he's likely right about that. I had really never thought about it in those terms, Cam, but you pointed out it's a real phenomenon, isn't it?
It is, and again, I think it helps. It should help, maybe remind us again of, just how unique and how precious this freedom is. Yeah. Because, again, there are a majority of places on Earth they just don't have that right. I wrote about a piece about a Nigerian politician who actually said that his country's not mature enough to have civilian gun ownership. This is the country where Boko Haram is kidnapping kids. Right. You've got Islamist gangs and criminal gangs who are raiding villages. The BBC even reported just a couple of days ago, the police and the army are overwhelmed, and yet the government refuses to let people protect themselves. Right? I mean, that's so screwy. To me, that is such a human rights abuse to tell people, we can't really protect you, but we're not going to let you protect yourself. But that is the status quo across most of the world. And it's important we understand that so that, we know what we're fighting for, right? It's not just our right to keep our arms, but it really is this legacy that was passed down to us by the founders. And if we lose it, I mean, that light just goes out across the world.
It's interesting the way you phrase that. Let me pose this to you in a different light, ladies and gentlemen. Think about hearing an American Democrat politician eventually come out, because they say the quiet part out loud from time to time, but imagine if they actually said it, Cam. You're not mature enough to own guns, American citizens. Imagine if an American Democrat running for president said that to you. Or imagine a sitting Democrat president said that to you, because that is what they're saying to us, Cam. Hey, listen, we're getting ready to call it quits. The hour flew right by. It always does. Thank you. You bring out the best in everything you touch, Cam. We love you, and thank you for being here. I do appreciate it so much. I'm looking forward to being on Cam and Company with you tomorrow. Where can people find you, brother?
I'm looking forward to catching up. Yeah, absolutely. BearingArms.com. Just check out the website. You can get a link to the Bearing Arms Cam and Company. And yes, we'll be doing it Mondays with Mark tomorrow. Looking forward to it as well. And I'll talk to you soon, man.
You better believe it. We love you, Cam. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your entire beautiful family, brother. All right, guys, hour 2 in the tank already. Good heavens. Greg, I asked him to step on the Zoom switch a little bit, but I didn't realize he was going to do it. So now we need to back off a little bit. We've got a classic Armed American Radio roundtable coming up next with Parkland father Ryan Petty, who has been sending me all kinds of topics to talk about. Ryan, I'm sure you're watching and listening right now. We will get to as many as we can. And, of course, Brad Premo, CEO of Lead Slingers, and you know him as a combat vet, former law enforcement, and, of course, the CEO of the Car Firearms Group. Justin Moon will be here 6 minutes after in the Car Firearms Group studios. We'll be back on the flip side of the break.
You just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, check off another page, guys. We're getting ready to kick into a roundtable. You never know what's going to happen in a roundtable, but it will be a good one. Justin Moon, CEO of Car Arms, will be here. Parkland Dad Ryan Petty will be here. And, of course, Brad Premo, CEO of Lead Slingers, combat veteran and former law enforcement. We love all of them. And if you're new to the program, well, as we say down south of the Mason-Dixon line, you're fit and find out why in just a few minutes. So stick around with us. We're going to do what we call in this business, we're going to take a quick biology break here. And we will be back live with you at 6 minutes after. We'll bring the mic back live a little bit early for you as the crew is building on the phones. So give us a couple minutes. The radio station affiliates across the country are running some of their spots. We do not run them for you here on the airwaves, because if we're running them during the breaks, then they're running in my head, and that makes what I do during the breaks very difficult when I have to take my headset off and all that stuff. So that's why. So some of you, if you get that silence until we can pipe something else in or get our mics live for the most part for you, you'll get a little bit of silence. Have no fear. We will be back at 6 minutes after the hour. We'll see you on the flip side here in just a few minutes. Whew, ladies and gentlemen, got the heat rolling here in this studio today. And just went to shut it off, and it's not going off because I guess it hasn't quite got the temperature, and I don't need it to get the temperature because it's getting hot in here. Lots of electronic stuff, and that, no. And a hoodie, no. I wasn't planning ahead, was I? There we go. So we're going to do something fun for the roundtable tonight. Carrie-Anna Clare from Goal Gun Owner Action League in Massachusetts is going to join the roundtable with us too. So buckle in, folks. The more people at the table, a little bit harder it is from a time standpoint to run the ship, but we'll do the best we can. We've got everybody in, including Brad. Greg?
Nope.
No Brad yet?
No Brad, no Carrie.
All right. Carrie's calling in here.
This
in
may
just
be
a
Carrie
second.
now.
There you go.
Ten seconds.
Which one was it?
It was Carrie.
All right, good deal. Well, maybe Brad fell asleep. Maybe we have the three. Maybe fate worked.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Car Firearms Group studio at the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association.
National Rifle Association.
Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
All right, guys, hour 3 is upon us. The other 2 hours already in the bag. I cannot believe it. Greg in Dallas, how you doing, brother?
Pretty busy. Here we are. We got everybody in for the show.
Yeah, so is Brad in?
Yeah, he
Good
slid
deal.
in as the open was playing.
Brad slid in. He can do that from time to time. Guys, I don't really pay much attention to the camera, and it just dawned on me, my chain, I got the latch there showing. I'm going to turn that around because that's just bugging the crap out of me when I noticed it. So I'm sure somebody out there commented, he needs to turn that chain around. Well, I just did it. Next time, put a comment in the chat for us, and one of us will pick that up. Good heavens. Car Firearms Group Studios ready to rock and roll post-Thanksgiving weekend. If you are rejoining us, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the previous 2 hours. Always great radio. If you're just joining us, welcome in. You're in for a treat. I can promise you that because we have Carrie-Anna Clare from Goals also sitting in on the roundtable with us today, and she's going to follow our lead, and we're going to get commentary from Carrie-Ann. We're going to get commentary from Brad Premo. We're going to get commentary from Justin Moon and from Parkland Father Ryan Petty. But before we get that underway, you can watch this program. As long as you're not driving, you can see us on Facebook.com/ArmedAmericanRadio. If you are watching on Facebook, please follow us over there. And Greg, if you will tell everybody else where, I'll just say if you're watching us on Twitter, and hundreds of you are, please repost it. Do us a solid. Repost it and follow us on Twitter at AAR Mark. Appreciate it very much. And one more thing, and get this business out of the way. The Gundy's voting for awards begins at midnight, less than 2 hours from now. If you're listening live Eastern time, midnight. TheGundys.com. I have been nominated for Top Voices of the 2A. I would appreciate your support and your vote. And it's the only time I'll ask you to be a Democrat. Vote early and vote often. You'll never hear me ask you to do that ever again, except for right now. Voting continues from December 1 to December 15. We would appreciate it if you would go to The Gundys, that's Gundies, thegundys.com, and click your boy and give me a vote. I would appreciate your support very much. Greg, take it away. We'll get cracking around the table, brother.
Sure, other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Formerly known as Twitter, a.k.a. X. You can follow us over there at AAR Mark. You can also head on over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. And lastly, to join the live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Boom. Let's get the party started. Justin Moon, CEO of Car Arms. We are in the Car Firearms Group studios with you, Justin. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours, brother. How are you, and how was your weekend?
Doing good, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it was great.
I have a little bit of a cold, so my voice is a little bit rough. But other than that, I'm fine.
We'll go easy on you, brother. Happy Thanksgiving. Let's move over to Ryan Petty. Ryan, are you done eating the peanut butter and the Haagen-Dazs?
Done eating the Done eating the peanut butter. Happy to be here, Mark.
All right, good deal. Well, you live not too far from Dunedin, Florida. So Dunedin, the peanut butter, and Dunedin, the jelly sandwiches and the Haagen-Dazs. Welcome in, Ryan. It's always a pleasure. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your amazing family as well. Brad Premo, CEO, Lead Slingers, former law enforcement officer and combat veteran. How you doing, brother? Welcome in. Happy Thanksgiving, Brad.
Thanks, Mark. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. How are you doing?
Oh, doing wonderful, man. Would rather be doing nothing else than this right now with all of you. And Carrie Ann O'Clair from Goal in Massachusetts. Carrie, welcome in. Thanks for jumping in the roundtable with us. It's going to be fun getting your perspective on some of these topics today. How are you? Happy Thanksgiving, darling.
Happy Thanksgiving to you all. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. All right, Ryan, I'm going to get started with you because you were very, very busy on the type machine, otherwise known as a computer, and the text messages just flying at me today with some of these topics. The first one I want to cover with everybody here at the table, I did bring this up with John Lott earlier, but it's just too good. It's too ripe. Ryan, Mexico is protecting the world from gun violence, starting with the U.S. Are they serious?
I mean, I needed a good laugh this weekend, and maybe that op-ed in the Hill was just the medicine I needed. I spent most of Saturday, by the way, spreading manure around the field, so I know I could tell when somebody spread manure, and that's exactly what this op-ed is. Unbelievable. Can you believe these guys? Mexico is a failed narco state. I mean, it's a failed state, right? Failed state, full stop. Completely run and controlled by the narco terrorists, as we've now deemed them. And for them to have the audacity to blame American gun manufacturers and quote unquote rogue dealers. I mean, look, the Supreme Court put these jokers in their place a few months ago when they threw out this just absolutely frivolous, nonsensical lawsuit. But to blame the Second Amendment, this is really what these guys are doing. They're blaming the Second Amendment for the narco-driven gun violence down in Mexico and blaming us as if our rights somehow caused them to act violently in their country. Couldn't believe what I was reading. I need to take a chill pill, and maybe I should just laugh.
No,
maybe I should just laugh.
Go spread some more manure. While you're at it, print this thing up and use that in your manure pile. It's unbelievable. Carrie, this starts with the following. With at least 378 mass shootings in the U.S. so far this year. Now, that number comes from who knows where they get it, likely the Gun Violence Archive or some other debunked nonsense. But it starts off with a lie. It continues. It's easy to forget that rising gun violence is a global problem. The people of the U.S. and Mexico both suffer from the same scourge, and it has a common origin. The U.S. is a known supplier of illegal guns trafficked abroad. Carrie, I'm sure you remember Fast and Furious when the Obama ATF under Eric Witholder insisted that American gun dealers in the Southeast illegally traffic American guns across the border to Mexico under the ruse that they could follow them to see where they were going, and they lost thousands of guns, and we don't even know how many people were killed, save for the Border Patrol agent. You know, Carrie, when you hear stuff like this, does it make your blood boil like it did Ryan's and mine?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, honestly, we're being, the gun owners in the Constitution, right?
Did we lose you? Did we got you? We got you back here?
Nope.
There we go.
Sorry,
we got you
I
back.
lost you.
Okay, that's okay. Go ahead. Finish your thought, please.
So it just boils me. I don't even know. I have no words. Honestly, I have no words. I just know that the illegal gun owners in the state that gets put it back out in the streets every day is just insane.
And they want to blame Mexico and the Hill, want to blame us and American gun manufacturers, and I'll get to some quotes on that in just a second, but you guys have to put up with this type of lying nonsense in Massachusetts all the time, and now here we get it from the Hill for Mexico, who is coming after American manufacturers. Let me shift over to you, Brad. When you hear this, they start out the opening sentence with a flat-out, bald-faced lie. So they're getting their numbers from lefties, and they're using it to blame American manufacturers for the scourge of violence in Mexico. And it couldn't be further from the truth, Brad Premo.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, you just got to pay attention to what's going on down there and look at the pictures, as hard as they are to look at sometimes, and look at the news. These guys are not using, by and large, mostly semi-automatic AR-15s and AKs. They're using actual full autos that are not readily available to civilians in the U.S. They're being stolen from the Mexican military, hands down. The Mexican army has been completely penetrated by the cartels, and that's where they're getting most of these good weapons that they're using to kill each other and kill civilians and assassinate, government officials and all that. The problem is the Mexican government itself. And it wouldn't surprise me if this op-ed writer is probably on the payroll of the cartels or the Mexican government to run interference for them and do propaganda. I mean, that's really what it is. If you think about it, it's a psyop and propaganda, smoke screen to protect the people who are actually to blame.
It's the way it's written. It certainly sounds that way. Justin Moon, you're the CEO of a firearms manufacturer, Justin, albeit with a cold. Are you responsible for the cartel violence? 30 seconds, it's yours.
We're a law-abiding company. We follow all the rules. We don't sell guns illegally to anybody. Everything we do is regulated by the ATF, and we have to comply with every federal rule and every federal regulation, and we have to account for every single serial number that we produce. So, yeah, exactly. What Ryan said. The Hills piece is a propaganda piece. They probably work for the cartels. We have a serious problem with media in America. I think the media definitely is not interested in the American interest, and they are more beholden to some foreign interest.
Oh, there's no question about it, because, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard me say for years, I can lay every ill in this country at the feet of the mainstream media. Don't believe me? Go back and listen to some previous shows. We'll be back with the crew. Don't go away. Could actually stand some AC in here right now after that. Funny how that works. Welcome back, guys.
The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, it's easy to defend freedom, ladies and gentlemen. It's hard work, but it's easy because there are certain things that you can do and then just not worry about after that. You can join the National Rifle Association. It's real easy, $35 for a 1-year membership. And guess what? You're in the game, okay? Just simply by joining, and it's real simple to do. We've made it so easy for you. NRA.org/AAR. Please join us at NRA.org/AAR and get in the pool with us. The water is warm. We need your help everywhere. Those of you in Virginia, well, you're, as we say down south, you're fitting to find out why real soon, come January 1, 4 weeks from today. You guys are staring down the barrel of about 20-plus gun control bills. Every single one of them is likely to pass, ladies and gentlemen, virtually every one of them. NRA will be fighting on your behalf. Please join us, NRA.org/AAR, and you can find all of our great sponsors, all of them, and they all need your support at ArmedAmericanRadio.com. It's how we stay on the airwaves, guys. Without them, we're not here. It's that simple, so please support them. They've all got great products. You can get your Christmas shopping done over there if you're a gun lover in your family. BudsGunShop.com, Heaven's Harvest, Crossbreed Holsters, Car Arms, CZ, Patriot Mobile, National Rifle Association, Defender Coffee. They're all there for you. Every single one of them can be found. And, of course, Attorneys on Retainer and Patriots Relief. I've got a lot of their great products sitting right here with me or right here in the studio because I use this stuff every single day. It works for me. It'll likely work for you. Welcome back in to the Car Firearms Group studios. Ryan Petty, it's a pleasure, brother. So, one of the other pieces, Ryan, that you sent is just, guys, I don't give you this stuff on the roundtable in advance because I can't wait to hear your spontaneous comments. But this one, Ryan, I think is a road the left wants to take America down. This is a path they want us to follow. We all know what's going on with the thought police. You can be arrested in Great Britain for speaking your mind on social media, literally arrested and jailed. And Ryan, guys, sent this piece to me earlier today before the show. IT consultant arrested after posing with gun on LinkedIn. John Richelieu Booth says he was, quote, put through 13 weeks of hell after returning from U.S. holiday. An IT consultant was arrested by police in Britain after he posted a picture online of himself posing with a gun in the U.S. He said he was shocked by the Orwellian decision by West Yorkshire Police to prosecute him over a social media post. The 50-year-old said that on August 13th, he had posted a picture of himself on LinkedIn holding a shotgun while on a private homestead with friends during a holiday in Florida. He claims the LinkedIn message contained nothing he considered threatening, with the picture attached to a lengthy post about his day and work activities. However, he said that a police officer later visited his home to warn him that concerns had been raised about the post. I was told to be careful what I say online, and I need to understand how it makes people feel. Well, he was subsequently arrested. Ryan, I don't even know what to ask you. Just go. Wow.
I mean, this is exactly where the left wants to take us. Unfortunately, we can see it ahead of time because we've got places like the UK, which, from which, ironically, their system of government, we derived, obviously we fought a revolution, but we derived a lot of our frameworks for freedom, our founders did from, English common law. But they've gone absolutely crazy, just completely crazy over there, to the point where, and again, this guy was not arrested for doing anything illegal. He was arrested because his post might cause somebody to be fearful. And it was feelings. And so we're not arresting people for actual assault. And I imagine you could walk into any store in the UK and pretty much shoplift up to probably the same amount you can in San Francisco, about $1,000, That's okay. But if you hurt somebody's feelings, all of a sudden you're subject to arrest. This is the kind of thing, when we say this is the path that the left wants to take us down, and we tell people that they have to be careful, and they say, oh, slippery slope, yeah, whatever. This is exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's frightening stuff. Someone may have feelings. Carrie Ann O'Clair, Women for Gun Rights and Gun Owner Action League. Carrie, are you fearful of a post of someone holding a shotgun and think that person should be arrested?
No.
Keep it FCC clean, please.
Oh my God. And, as a woman instructor and as a mom and, only being part of this community for the past 10 years, I'm looking at this post right now, and I'm looking at this picture, and I'm saying to myself, really? Are you kidding me? It's like saying that you're fearful of me driving a car or fearful of me driving a Standard as a woman. I mean, come on, really? Seriously?
Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah, don't take her out of that thing. Arrest you because you might offend someone who might be worried that you might hurt them on the road. Brad, that's a good analogy. It's so patently absurd, Brad, that it is really hard to wrap your head around. But we have seen that this is the direction the American left wants us to go when it comes to curbing freedom of speech. A picture of a firearm has got this man arrested. Unbelievable.
Yeah, we've seen shades of that here. The kids getting suspended from school because they make a gun with their fingers. You see images of guns edited out of books and things like that. That's just the step before where the UK is, and the UK, unfortunately, have just been thoroughly emasculated. This is a people that at one point owned a third of the world. Think about that.
Yeah,
they conquered entire civilizations, and they're from an island the size of the state of Michigan. These are not historically weak people, and they've allowed themselves to be subjugated by socialists and communists. And what communism does is it emasculates men, wants to make good things weak, and be replaced by basically. I hate to say it, but it's a feminized society in which men can't be men, and that's where the UK is now. So now they've got to worry about hurting people's feelings because the way people feel now is super important. Apparently, there are people that have been done jail time in the UK because of what they said on social media. And you're right. It's what the left would love to do here because they can't handle dissent, they can't handle competing opinions because their ideas and opinions are awful and they're evil. And everybody knows it, and they can't have somebody challenging that or an opposing viewpoint out in the public because they'll win.
Yeah, Justin, I'm going to read part of this to you, to all of you, and then Justin, when we come back from the break, I want to go directly to you on this. Mr. Richelle Booth, we'll just call him Mr. Booth, said, get this, he offered to provide officers with proof that the picture of the firearm had been taken while he was in the U.S., but the officer said that was not necessary. Mr. Booth said 2 officers then returned to his home shortly after 10 p.m. on August 24th and arrested him. A bail document seen by the Telegraph refers to an allegation of possessing a firearm with intent to cause fear of violence and a further allegation of stalking related to a photograph of a house that appeared on his social media. He was held overnight after being interviewed, wasn't initially released on bail until late October. Then they visited his property 3 further occasions before he was rearrested for allegedly breaching his bail. When we come back, we turn it over to Justin. Unbelievable. This is usual what, Greg?
Modus operandi.
Yeah, you just heard me say it was unbelievable. Greg jumped in. I brought the mic back up again. He said it's not unbelievable. It's usual MO. It is over in Great Britain now. They have literally given up their entire culture. And it's not coming back. Not in our lifetimes. It may never come back. It's very sad to see what they've allowed to happen to themselves. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. They allowed it to happen.
Are you going to allow it to happen here? Because that's what they're trying to do to you. It is incredible. It really, truly is. Wow. That's some powerful question for Justin, because he knows from firsthand what this kind of nonsense leads to. We'll let him explain that in a second, ladies and gentlemen. We're coming right back here.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sebastian Gorka, letting you know that the Desperado Sport Fishing Crew in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and our right to bear arms. Now, back to Mark Walters.
Now, back to Mark Walters. We just love our Sebastian Gorka. Sebastian Gorka, thank you so much for the rejoin. Appreciate it so much. Guys, welcome back to the Car Firearms Group studios with me. Greg, we're already on the downside of this hour. I cannot believe it, but it is just flying right by, and it will, ladies and gentlemen. We tell you that every show, every day, 6 days a week. Put your seatbelt on. It moves right along. We hope you're enjoying the show as much as we're enjoying bringing it to you every single day. We're in the round table now with, of course, Parkland father Ryan Petty from GOAL, Gun Owner Action League, and Women for Gun Rights, Carrie Anna Claire up in the commie state of Massachusetts, unfortunately. Brad Premo, former law enforcement officer, CEO of Lead Slingers and combat veteran. And, of course, we're going right now to Justin Moon, the CEO of Car Firearms Group, as we sit here in the Car Firearms Group studios. Justin, the way I want to pose this question, you heard what I said going out. You at this table bring a perspective that none of us, your family, that none of us have ever lived through, thankfully, but your family has. And your brother is trying to do the work of stopping communist China. You and your family know this type of behavior firsthand. When you hear this kind of nonsense, tell us what that means
to someone like you who has family ties to communism, and not your family ties, but victims of families, and that tie in your family. Tell us what this means to you. It's got to be personal to you. It has to be.
Well, Mark, tyranny has, has no respect for people who don't stand up against it. I mean, you got to ask yourself the question: if this were, an individual holding an AK, saying Allah Akbar, and was living in, the no-go slum areas in London, would the police have come and knocked on his door?
It's a great question.
I would say not. They wouldn't. It's only because he's just a regular Joe who the authorities know won't, bring out a gang of folks to beat up the Tommies when they come. That's the reason why they pick on them.
Does this to you sound like the beginning of a far worse communist movement in Great Britain? To me, it does. This is just, I would say, destroying their culture and then throwing this on to boot. We're at stage 2 here, right?
Full blown tyranny is in Britain already. I mean, the whole government has gone full blown commie. They're arresting people for wrong thoughts, for praying. They're arresting people for wrong images. The people are no longer standing up for themselves. They're not standing up for their rights, their liberty, or their dignity. I mean, if you tried to do this to the Americans in 1776, they would be shooting at the British already.
That's what happened. You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, take a listen to what Justin is talking about. Ryan, I'll continue this with you briefly before we go to the next story, which is mind-boggling as well. But Ryan, this is the beginning of, as we said, of what the left wants for this country. You have a Democrat calling themselves a Democrat socialist in New York, another one on the left coast in Seattle. This is communism, and this is what they want. They would love to be able to jail us for disagreeing with them. And we all know in this country, because we've seen them celebrate the death of Charlie Kirk, we see the vitriol posted about Donald Trump. I read something yesterday from another lefty, well-known lefty with a couple 100,000 followers over there on X, talking about, that is what we want, is Trump gone. And we all know what that means, Ryan. This is pretty frightening stuff, is it not?
It absolutely is. And, one of my favorite T-shirts, I love to wear this around. It always evokes lots of laughter, but it's somewhat serious. It's a picture of George Washington, and he says, it says on the shirt, "Me and my homies would have been stacking bodies by now." So I just love that.
Yeah, I've actually seen you wear that shirt, guys. He really does have it. I've seen it on his back. Yeah.
So look, in all seriousness, we've got to stand up to this. Justin made an important point that tyranny loves victims, right? And unfortunately, the British people have caved in and become victims of their own government. And we can go into the history of what's happening, but what the left wants to create here is what has happened in communist China, which is that everything that you do gets put into what's called a social credit score. It's like your financial credit score, but your social credit score has to do with what you post online, the friends you have, the associations you make, the political ideas that you have, opinions, whether your neighbor tells on you, all of these things. This is the socialist utopia or communist utopia that the left wants for America. They want an environment where they can control us, and the way they can do that is by creating this social credit score concept, and it's already in play in China. And look what's happened in the UK with this gentleman. He goes on vacation. He takes a picture. Somebody says, "I feel afraid," and the next thing you know, you've got the bobbies at the door, and they're here to take you away. They're here to take you away. So we've got to stand up now. We've got to recognize what's happening. First of all, Americans have to recognize what's happening. and that we have to reject authoritarianism in all of its forms.
Boy, you just reminded me of a song from an old movie, and I don't even remember the name, but remember the song? They're coming to take me away. Ha 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 ha. Hee hee. Remember that?
Yep.
And that really is what they're doing. That's frightening stuff. Anybody in the chat that's listening or watching, if you can remember what movie that is, let me know. I'm kind of brain farting right now, but that's really not number one on my mind. It just reminded me of that. So if you guys know, let us know in the chat. We'll give you a shout out when we come back. Carrie Ann, I want to turn it over to you now. We're going to switch gears. I covered this story with Dr. John Lott, and this one I know you'll probably have a little different reaction than we will, just by being a woman. But nonetheless, as a gun owner, as an American citizen, all of us are in the same boat here. And John's piece, guys, at Real Clear Politics that just broke 2 days ago in an op-ed, she saved her life. 7-Eleven fired her. Yet last week, 7-Eleven fired, Stephanie Dilliard is lucky to be alive. Yet last week, 7-Eleven fired the 25-year-old after she used her gun to save her own life. Private companies have every right to set rules for employee behavior, but many corporate policies that require workers to remain passive and comply with criminal demands rest on a deeply mistaken view of crime data. Here's what she had to say. He threatened me, she told Dilliard told Fox 25 in Oklahoma City, and said he was going to slice my head off. And that's when I tried to call the police. He started throwing things at me, came behind the counter. I tried to run off, but he grabbed his hands around my neck and pushed me out of the counter space, and that's when I pulled out my gun and I shot him. I had to choose between my job and my life, and I will always choose my life because people depend on me. My kids need me here. Carrie.
I read this and my blood boiled.
I'm sure.
Boiled. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something right now. If I was, so it's kind of funny because somebody actually asked me this question the other day, and they're like, so I'm a waitress, and in Massachusetts, is it illegal for me to carry in the restaurant? I'm like, no, but your company policy might make that something that might be an issue, but it's not a law. And so how do you say that to a student, right?
Yeah,
and
well, that's a dilemma.
I'm not an attorney.
Carrie, hold on to that thought. We're getting ready to take a break. I want to come back to you when we come back from this break, because I want to hear what you have to say. You teach people, you instruct people, and that's a great point. What do you say to a student, ladies and gentlemen? And think about it in terms of you, listener. We'll play theater of the mind with you, which is what radio is. When you hear this, I want you to put yourself in this position. Maybe you're a truck driver, crisscrossing the country. Your company has a policy. Well, we all know you make some pretty bad stops somewhere in some pretty nasty locations. You going to carry your gun? Even though your company says you can't, you can be fired. Maybe you want to take her advice. We'll go back to Carrie Ann Claire when we come back. Don't go away. Final segment already, guys. Good heavens. Whipped right by. Always does. So my thing is locking up here. My app. Guys, we'll be right back with you here in about a minute and a half. All right, so it looks like it was just a novelty record here, right, guys? Not affiliated with a movie. Camera's back up.
This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
All right, guys. So I got to give a shout out to Martin in the chat, who it looks like, and I apologize if I didn't scroll back enough, but Martin, it looks like you win the shout out here. According to Wikipedia, "They're Coming to Take Me Away, Ha Ha," is a 1966 novelty record written and performed by Jerry Samuels, billed as Napoleon XIV, and released on Warner Brothers Records. So I guess it's not affiliated with a movie. I was wrong about that, but I did remember it, which is kind of weird, and just all because of what Ryan had to say there. Brought that back. Guys, welcome back to the Car Firearms Group studios with me. In front of the CZ microphone, Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom here at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. PatriotMobile.com/AAR. Take advantage of a free month. Flip a phone or two. It's real easy to do. It's all U.S.-based customer service, and every dollar bill you pay them, the corporation, as part of their mission statement at Patriot, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, actually goes to support your right to keep and bear arms. It is Patriot Mobile, after all. And if you're watching, I am wearing the Patriot Mobile hat. I have to fight for this hat. My kids and my wife love this hat, too. Also, attorneysonretainer.us, attorneysonretainer.us. Carry the card like I have. Here it is. Put it in your wallet. Save $50 on the sign-up, and it's $35 a month. Best $35 a month you will ever spend. I guarantee it. And in about an hour and 12 minutes from now, thereabouts, you can start voting for me. It's top voices of the 2A category at thegundys.com. Midnight, December 1st through December 15th. It's the only time I'll ask you to be a Democrat. Vote early and vote often for me. I would appreciate that very, very much. And it's not just me, ladies and gentlemen. It's you. Let's see if we can pull this off together. That would be a tremendous amount of fun. And I'll give you a huge shout out if we can do this. The Gundys, GUNDIES.com. Please vote for us over there. We would appreciate that very much. Thank you for being here today. Carrie, let me go back to you on this 7-Eleven deal, because as an instructor, I get that question a lot too. And we've talked about it a lot in various different scenarios on this show. And I've always made the following statement, Carrie, over the years. The time is coming that Americans are going to have to make decisions that they never thought they would have to make ever in America. This is one of them. Do I carry my gun at work in violation of company policy, even though I'm not violating the law, knowing I could get fired if I have to use it? My answer is square, dead on, my cousin Vinny, little round thing, accurate. Yes, I do. What do you say?
So I am talking for myself, not for Gun Owners Action League or any other organizations that I volunteer for. I am going to say yes. I am not, if it's not the law, and I'm going to carry. I'm going to carry.
I appreciate your straight up answer. Brad Premo, let's go to you. 25-year-old woman who made it very clear. My kids are dependent on me. A single mom. For crying out loud, what would you expect her to do? Now think about this, Brad, and Justin, I can't wait to get your response on this, but think about this. Her superior comes to her and says, oh my God, thank God you're okay. You're fired. Brad.
I mean, I'm sorry. I would just have to laugh at his face. I assure you that 7-Eleven's not paying me enough to give a rat's you-know-what about their opinion or policy about carrying a firearm working at a 24/7 convenience store. If you like that type of job, I mean, look, and I respect anybody's job, and if you're working for a living,
God bless you.
No disrespect, but I mean, yeah, you know what? Like, go across the street, work at Circle K, if 7-Eleven fires you for carrying a gun. You know what I'm saying? Like 7-Eleven is not really in a position to be treating their employees that way, but that goes for really any employer, in my opinion. If I can perform the job while being armed, then I'm going to do it. I mean, there's probably some jobs out there that, having a gun in your waistband is probably not safe, or you just can't do your job. I get that, but I mean, I'll just go ahead and say right now, I ignore signs that say I can't carry because concealed means concealed. I'm willing to face the consequences if there are consequences, but I'm not going to get taken out without a fight. And I'm going to go home to my family. In Tennessee, I know that the potential consequences is just a misdemeanor. So I'll take that any day if that means I'm home to my family.
And if it were
not even a question.
Yeah, absolutely, without fail. Carrie, your answer was dead spot on. I appreciate your honesty. Justin, I'm coming home, brother, okay? No job, I don't care what it is more important than my life. And I'm coming home, period. If I have to come home unemployed, if I have to sue, whatever I have to do, Justin, I would really like your thoughts on this as well.
Well, Mark, it really is a question about rights. I mean, in America, we have a right to defend ourselves. We have a right to carry arms. And it really is a civil rights issue. I mean, just because, a company makes its policy saying that you can't carry a firearm and denies an individual's right, I don't think that's necessarily, a policy which should be upheld in terms of, the civil rights context. I mean, there are many company policies in the past which have been overturned by, civil rights act based on, race or personal preference or different types of protected classes. And, it's the same thing applies to firearms ownership and carrying a firearm. It's a protected class. And I don't think that companies have the right to discriminate against individual rights.
And what's interesting about this, Ryan, listening to what Justin just mentioned, if you look at the Electoral College map of Oklahoma in the last presidential election, every county in Oklahoma voted red. I would absolutely bet my bottom dollar, Ryan, that every single person in the state of Oklahoma feels pity for this young woman, and if they were to rise up enough, might make a bold statement to 7-Eleven. But here's what I find fascinating. It is not illegal in Oklahoma to carry your gun as a patron in 7-Eleven.
Yeah. Look, I think, again, no disrespect at all, as Brad mentioned, but I think being armed ought to be part of the uniform. If you're a 7-Eleven clerk,
yeah, working the 11 to 7 shift at 7-Eleven, I might add. So she's working all night. It's a very dangerous job. One of the top 3 most dangerous in the country.
The company ought to provide the firearm, I think, actually, and the training to go along with it.
Carrie, you're shaking your head.
Smart.
Well, yeah, you're right.
Yes, I am.
They should be. They should be going to you to teach the women who are carrying guns in there, Carrie.
Well, unfortunately, depending on what state you're in, we have a right to protect ourselves, but we have a fear of the law to protect ourselves, if that makes sense. So,
no, it makes perfect
I
sense.
think, and unfortunately, I, as an instructor, as a woman, there's so many questions that have been asked to me, and I'm like, I can tell you what the law is, and honestly, it's up to you to whether or not you're going to, follow that law and the repercussions that's going to, that's you're going to follow if something happens.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to
girl.
Go ahead, real quick.
This poor girl did everything to protect herself, and now she's getting, slapped in the face, and that's crazy.
She just got poop canned, ladies and gentlemen, to be FCC friendly about it. Carrie Anna Claire, Women for Gun Rights and Gun Owners Action League in Massachusetts, fighting the good fight. Brad Premo, former law enforcement combat vet. You've been out there, man, and I appreciate you going out there on behalf of my family. Thank you, Brad, for everything that you bring to the table every week. We're in the Car Firearms Car Firearms Group Studios, ladies and gentlemen. Justin Moon, CEO of Car Arms. Thank you, my friend. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Ryan Petty, thank you for being here, and thank you for being so actively engaged with providing some content for today's show. We appreciate it, guys. We're going to get up and do it again tomorrow because they don't want us to. We'll see you on the radio. Stay safe. Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
You just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, ladies and gents, thank you for being here very much. I appreciate it. Hope you guys had a great holiday weekend and hope you're ready. Well, nobody's really ready to get back to work yet, right? But some of you, I was ready to get back to work, to be honest with you. A couple days off, I'm good. But in the meantime, hope you enjoyed the program today as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. It flew by. Had no idea how it was going to turn out today. I thought it was going to be a little tired, but man, could easily go another 2 to 3 hours. Greg doesn't want to hear that, but fortunately for him, we don't have the satellite time at the network to do that for you. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense. We're going to be here for you again tomorrow from 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern, 1 to 2 p.m. Pacific time, because they don't want us to. We're going to continue the conversation. No doubt, Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason, will be here. So until we meet on the radio tomorrow, carry on, carry often, carry absolutely everywhere. Never, ever, ever leave your cave without your club. Enjoy your day. Stay safe, and we'll see each and every one of you on the radio tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thanks for being here.